Hi, Thaddaus Dawson here with the 10K Appraisal Podcast. Today we have none other than Jeffrey Hicks. This young man has so many titles and accolades. I'm really excited to have him on the podcast today to talk about the work that he's doing that's very relevant and extremely interesting. I've been in Atlanta now for approximately 18 years. So I believe I've probably known Jeffrey 15 or 16 of those years that I've been here. And we initially met with his work through the Empire Board. He's the past president of the local Empire Board, which is the oldest African American trade organization in the country. He was also the past national president of NARAB. Um, Let me see what else he does. He's a farmer. He's a broker of 30 years with Apollo Realty. He's the managing and directing broker, I believe. Um, he now currently works with New Communities, Cypress Pond. That's down in Southwest Georgia, in Albany, with Shirley Sherrod and the Charles Sherrod Foundation, Southwest Georgia Project, and he is the Charles Sherrod Community Farm Educator. Let me see. Let me go there. It's so many. I know I'm gonna miss something, and Jeffrey, you're gonna be able to jump in there and fill all of that out. He's also a part of the Atlanta Faith-Based Development Initiative, run here in Atlanta by Atlanta Mayor Dickerson. He's the chairman of the board of trustees for Providence Missionary Baptist Church. He is also the director of the Providence Community Garden. And Jeffrey, I'm gonna just let you go in there, John. I missed something. Whatever I missed, you go ahead and fill in the blanks there.
Well, Thaddeus, you got it right. Some of the terminology, you might got some of the words a little twisted there, but that's okay. But you have described the roles accurately. My name is Jeffrey Hicks. I'm a native of Atlanta, Georgia. I'm very proud of that. And born and raised here in Atlanta and attended Atlanta Public School System. Stayed in the city and attended college here at Georgia State University. But to delve in on some of the things that he's mentioned, um, I'm the father of two wonderful children, Jessica Hicks and James Hicks. And Jessica's a sophomore at Hampton University, and James is about to be a senior in high school. And I've been very involved in my community. Um, um, Primarily through the church, serving in the church since I got involved in it, probably since 1979, to be honest with you. And I'm very actively involved in my current church that is served at, as mentioned, I'm chair of the board of trustees there. And in 2010, I started a community garden at the church. And so I've been the director of that garden for 15 years. That work led to the opportunity that I began in November, just this past November, down in Albany, Georgia, working underneath the umbrella of the Sherrod Institute. And that particular entity that I work for is the Charles Sherrod Community Development Corporation. I'm the farm educator there, and I basically am doing the same thing in Albany, Georgia that I've been doing for 15 years at Providence, which is demonstrating to people how to grow food, how they can grow food where they are in their own backyard, how to grow food naturally, the importance of regenerative agriculture methods that I practice in terms of enhancing the soil as the primary means of developing healthy, nutrient dense crops. And
So
so,
Jeffrey, a couple things I want to jump in there. Um,
yes.
you recently participated in our Outside the Barn series, and you talked about composting and regenerative farming. That people were absolutely amazed at all the different things that you use that you put outside in order to use in your farming platform. Can you talk about that a little bit? And also, I'd like for you to highlight how you got into farming when your friend bought you some fresh tomatoes that he had grown out of his garden, and that sparked your interest. And he apparently planted a seed that's full bloom now.
I appreciate you remembering that. What sparked my inspiration into gardening was back in 2010. I had a massive heart attack, just primarily caused due to stress. And I had a friend of mine that paid me a visit just to come by and see me and brought me a gift. And so he bought 3 tomato plants. And so we spent the afternoon just planting those tomato plants. And as a result of seeing those tomato plants grow and producing probably about 60 tomatoes over the 2 or 3 months, I just became fascinated with growing food. And so that led to me going to my church, and we had a couple of vacant lots that we weren't doing anything with, and I'm suggesting to them to let's clear the lots off and start a community garden. And you talk about a guy that only had grown 3 tomato plants. And but when I took on that venture, I met um, some of the urban gardeners in the community. One primary person that really helped me was a guy named Rashid Nuri that
So
run an
Rashid
organization.
is huge and does a lot of community gardens across the country. But in particularly here in Atlanta, there was a time where the bank was taking back a lot of vacant lots and land, and we did a boatload of appraisals for them that they used the community gardens as a transitional land use during the downturn, which increased security and food availability and food sovereignty, which is extremely important. And with today's market and the high cost of food, the whole ability for real estate to tie into farming is amazing. And that's part of the platform that we're working with on our Outside the Barn series, where we try to bring a marriage of farming, food security, and increasing development through land trust cooperative model. And you and I just, well, we never we've been disconnected. We were both at the board meeting at the beginning of the year. Then we turned around and ran into each other at the South Conference, and I was amazed to hear what you were doing, and you were amazed to hear what I was doing. You didn't want to figure out what farming had to do with appraising. So we've
That's right.
since bridged those gaps and are on a parallel track and excited to be working together. I know we're going to have our Outside the Barn series on June the 14th at Providence Missionary Baptist Church in the Garden. And the goal is to bring awareness to regenerative farming, urban farming, how to get a farm number, as well as reconsideration of value, which is one of our pillars. But we're doing a couple things different here. We're going to start off with a yoga session in the morning to work on our breathing and connectivity. Then we're also going to actually pick some fruits and vegetables out of a real live garden, which was an amazing suggestion that you had for our Outside the Barn series to kind of be a catalyst for us to do that moving forward so people could actually experience it. But then the other thing that I'm really excited about is our mixed use intergenerational development that we plan on working on with rural development and rural landowners. And basically, the concept is fresh farm to table. So we are working on developing 8 to 10 houses around your community garden and developing a land trust cooperative model. With this being one of the urban footprints that we plan to establish.
The next big venture for me is urban agriculture 2.0, where the next huge crop I want to plant in gardens is housing, developing spaces where people can congregate, learn about nutrition, learn about gardening, and uh, and developing the soil, just having spaces where people can share, intergenerational spaces where people in the community can share and learn together where they live. You know, a truly live, work, and play environment on an intergenerational level.
Well, why I'm so excited about that is it is truly an opportunity, especially with housing not really being affordable. And in there, a great model is the land trust model. And what's so exciting about that is you're directly connected to the Sherrods, who formed the first land trust in the country with new communities in the 70s. And so they had, I remember, I believe, close to 6,000 acres, and due to them not being able to get financing and frozen out, it was a total community cooperative initiative based out of the civil rights movement and people being displaced. And once folks were being displaced for voting or enacting their voting rights, Mr. Sherrod felt compelled to make sure they had some place to live because they started to get kicked off of their farms and out of their houses. And so, out of that cooperative model, they visited the kibbutz in Israel and came up with the land trust model, which was the first one in the country. And due to not being able to get the funding from the USDA and the government, and systemically kind of being undermined, they lost the property. And then I guess was it 10, 15 years later, in the Pickford lawsuit, got $15 million and was able to buy 1,600 acres for the new communities development at Cypress Pond. However, the 1,600 is a far cry from the 6,000 that they had. And if you look at the time loss and velocity of money and the opportunities that were missed in that, it's almost irreplaceable. But at this point, we're just trying to be able to move forward, and so many people have benefited from the work of the charades and what they're doing now. And so I believe at Cypress Pond, uh, tell us about a little bit about what you all are growing down there. I know you do pecans, and I know you give me this amazing pecan history that over 80% of all pecans produced in this country come from Albany, Georgia, and Dougherty County. Did I get that right?
Yep, that's exactly right. And then the other amazing thing about pecans is that uh, the commercial production of pecans was started by a former slave in Louisiana who's known only by his first name is Antoine. And so prior to Antoine grafting a pecan that could be produced commercially, pecan trees just existed, but not able to be done on a commercial scale where you see huge thousands of acres of pecan orchards. And it wasn't until a former slave out of Louisiana named Antoine, that grafted the pecan tree so that it could be commercially produced, that we would not have a commercial uh, production of pecans in this country now if it wasn't for him.
Now, does
When the
Antoine's
Shiraz,
descendants get any residuals? Does
absolutely,
Antoine
probably not one, yeah, not one penny.
not one pecan either?
Okay, not even a pecan, probably, or a candied pecan. Um, so when the Shiraz acquired the property that exists today, which was originally owned by one of the largest slaveholders in the state of Georgia, um, that property, when they acquired it, they didn't acquire it from the slaveholder. They acquired it from a gentleman that was a very wealthy individual that invented the pay at the pump model that we all use every day in service stations. And so this for the purpose of just enjoying the wildlife and hunting that exists on the property, quail hunting, deer hunting, hunting wildlife. And so they acquired the property from that individual. There existed 85 acres of pecans at the time. He was not a pecan farmer, didn't farm it. And the Shiraz, after they acquired it, they added another 115 acres of pecans. So the primary source of income that we produce and do a good job at it is pecans. The second largest crop would be Satsuma oranges. You know, most people typically think of oranges growing in Florida, but they are able to grow in Georgia. And so we do produce Satsumas. We have a very large orchard of muscadines, just traditional muscadines, as well as muscadine grapes, as well as blueberries. And then we just installed about 2 months ago. Matter of fact, on April the 3rd, we just installed six other orchards: peaches, plums, pears, cherries, all of the stone fruits, and a plant that's native to Georgia. Many people may not have heard of it, but there's a fruit called a pawpaw that grows naturally in Georgia, and we've created those orchards. We grow watermelons. We grow a variety of different fruits and vegetables, from all your root vegetables like rutabagas and turnips and carrots and beets and mustard greens and collard greens, and we produce all those type of vegetables as well.
Jeffrey,
But there
what
are
is the
two.
growing cycle? What is the growing cycle? Do they grow
Most of the
all year
crops, yeah,
round? Or?
most of the crops that I just mentioned, especially the vegetables, they primarily grown in the summer. Because of where Albany is located in a very warm climate, they probably we can grow down there about 10 and a half months out the year. So we have a very long growing season. But I do want to mention there are wheat crops that I am responsible for in Albany, and that is rice. We do grow rice, believe it or not, in Georgia. We have an acre specifically dedicated for rice production, and we also are experimenting with growing truffles. And we have 5 acre truffle plot that we started about 2 or 3 years ago. It takes about 5 years for truffles to grow. The reason why we're growing truffles is truffles, the type we're growing, which is bruschetta truffle, it sells for about somewhere between a low of 500 up to $1,000 a pound. And if you think about crops, there are very few crops that sell for that large amount of money per pound. And so we're hoping that with the experiment that we're doing and the improvement to the soil that we're doing, it will lead to the production of truffles. We produce about 195,000 pounds of pecans. Um, Pecans sell anywhere from as low as $3 to $10 a pound, depending upon what um, the way that they're processed. Imagine if you could produce 195,000 pounds of truffles at
So,
$500 a
what
pound or
exactly
$1,000.
is a truffle, Jeffrey? Is it a fungus? Is it a mushroom? What is a truffle?
It's exactly, you're very knowledgeable. Makes me wonder if you're growing truffles. That's a very good question, and you gave a very accurate answer. It starts off as a fungus. It's basically a mushroom that
Oh dear.
You're gonna have a hell of an editing job here.
Oh.
Guess my next question was, can truffles be a protein?
Can truffles be a protein? Wouldn't they be though?
I'm not really sure. I think a lot of vegetarians or vegans utilize some of them for that. And as expensive as they are, $1,000 a pound,
Wow.
I might have to start growing some truffles.
Well, I've been.
Where did I break off at? Did I answer your question about what is a truffle?
You you
Yeah.
started answering that, and then I think you got
Okay,
right
you
at the
asked
end.
whether you asked if a truffle was a fungus or a mushroom.
Mushroom. Yeah.
Yeah, and I responded by saying it's both. It starts off as a fungus. The end product looks more like a mushroom, and it's used by high-end chefs in different recipes that they develop. The type of truffle that we're growing, the bruschetta truffle, that sells between 500 to $1,000 a pound, and there are very few crops that sell for that type of money. And so it could be a transformative game changer, what we're experimenting with.
Yeah, that's quite a price on truffles. How competitive is the truffle market, and do they use it? Is it a substitute for protein with vegetarians and vegans?
I think truffles are primarily used in dishes, just primarily as it's almost like caviar. You know what I mean? It's a very high end um, food source that's used in different recipes by different chefs that use that in their dishes and recipes. I wouldn't compare it to what you just stated, but um, and of course, I've never consumed truffles myself. Can't afford to eat in places that use it, but
You got them on the
we'll take
farm.
a
You
stab
just
at it.
accidentally wash one off and taste it. I don't know, Rick. Do we got enough, or we need to reschedule?
You still with me?
Yep.
Okay, great. I'm
We
sorry.
still here.
Ed, what was your last question?
Um, Truffles. So what? The only thing I can think of that is probably more expensive than truffles, or would be hemp and cannabis.
Mm. Yeah, there's a lot of politics around farms that are allowed to produce that. Certainly, it is a crop that I wish that we could get into, and hopefully, it is something that we can delve into as a producer of that product. But that's not something that we're experimenting with at this time.
The opportunity is there. They just, I think, in the 2018 Farm Bill, they decriminalized hemp, so it became a possibility, and then all of the different properties that hemp are able to uh, take up. I mean, you can build concrete with hemp. There's so many things that
Mm,
hemp is used for: drywall, roofing. The issue is being able to process the hemp. So that
true.
is a whole nother opportunity. So it's even not even an opportunity if you're producing it and then you don't have anywhere to offload it. So a lot of people started growing hemp and then realized they didn't have the distribution or the processing capability. So that's the next iteration. hemp was used in 1942 by Ford to make a car
Mm.
out of hemp. George Washington Carver and Ford produced a car made out of hemp, and it was lighter than steel and 10 times stronger than steel.
Is that
And
right? Mm.
it was that's one of the reasons hemp was criminalized, because with hemp you don't need the industrial revolution if you can build a car out of hemp. And so some
Wow.
some higher ups criminalize it, even when it only has less than 3% THC. There's not enough in it to be able to get you high. So the government legalized hemp for a little while during World War II, because the ropes that DuPont was making was disintegrating in the salt water. But the ropes made out of hemp stood up to the salt water, and so it was legalized and produced. So it has a lot of medicinal purposes. You can make clothing out of it. It's just got endless purposes, and hopefully legislation. Some states it's actually legal.
Mhm.
And some are legal, and you just got to figure it out. But it's another way to. It's a regenerative crop as well. It's a cover crop. It restores the soil. It takes impurities out of the soil and lifts it up. It provides shade for the other crops as well. So there's a boatload of uses for it. And actually, the George Washington grew hemp. The Constitution was written on hemp. So it's something that we definitely need to look into. And one of the things that we explore as we these are things I've learned as I've traveled the country, going to the different farmers and the 1890 land grant colleges. So,
I'll tell you what, it sounds like I'm talking to a hemp farmer.
well, we definitely, and there's opportunities to be able to appraise hemp and cannabis. So it's like there's
Let's talk about that
it's
some more.
okay, it's endless opportunities in the space. So we just gotta. It's all about trying to food security, housing. All this is getting back to the land and us being dependent upon one another. So it's kind of like no time is better than now. We've experimented. We drank the Kool Aid that we were all at the table and made it, and we have really discovered that we haven't made it. In order to make
Mm.
it, we have to all work together and be able to put this thing together with everybody doing their part. So I'm excited for us to be able to work together. And we have been working together like since I've been here in Georgia. So this is just another continuation and iteration of that for me.
Yeah, and I'm happy we are working together. You know, from the day one, we developed a very kindred spirit with each other, mutual respect for each other and our path and our family, the background. And I think the possibilities are endless as we kind of just join forces, work collaboratively to serve and to and let's make some money. I mean, let's look at how we can use land, use opportunities, utilize relationships to help build wealth for for families across the country.
Oh, absolutely. And making money. There is no mission without no money. So, we've been building brick without straw for a long time. So we definitely need to monetize, but we both have served and continue to serve. So we can't serve without no money. So service is not like money is a bad thing. We need money to
It's
be
not.
able to operate and make this thing work in order to build the generational wealth for others. I mean, you've got a long line of succession. Talk a little bit about your interns that you have this summer that you're working with down there. I believe you got 6 young ladies from Tuskegee working down there, and you're teaching them farming techniques.
Yep, we have six amazing young ladies. All of them are ag majors at Tuskegee University, and I shared with them this morning that it's very exciting to just see how the agricultural industry is evolving. especially from a technological perspective, that's going to make space for women. You know, when you look at the type of technology that is taking over in agriculture, the use of robots, the use of drones, the use of battery powered equipment. You know, it's not going to take just a man on a tractor or a man out there plowing the fields, that type of thing. Uh, the next generation of farmers will be farming from their telephone, farming from their laptop, making, planning a business and really making decisions about the most profitable and productive crops to grow and growing them in a sustainable manner, limited use of pesticides, um, using the type of technology that will do planting, harvesting, and pest
Technology
management.
also allows for forecasting and environmental right siding. So I know we shared a video the other day about robotics and how the two tie together for us is that farming and appraising are the two least diverse in the country. And they basically share the same demographics. So there was over a million black farmers in 1920. Today, there's less than 30,000. Uh,
2
over in
million in 1920, 2 million,
2
right?
million, okay. And
Yes.
so
And
that's less than 1% in farming now, and then there's less than 1% of people of color in appraising as well. So
wow.
these definitely have impacts and careers for the future, and that is one of the other pillars that we speak on in our Outside the Barn series is careers in farming and appraising and utilizing technology in order to modernize the process. And drones is a significant part of that, being able to utilize the drones for geospatial inspections,
Oh, yeah.
indoor and outdoor physical inspections, and in the farming, spraying pesticides. You can use them for herding, picking fruit, uh, even tilling with the robotics, and they've got the tillers that are much more environmental friendly. And with the lack of labor force that we have in agriculture now, this is a game changer as well. So I think you said a mouthful with the technology, and then the opportunities are just abundant. It's just a matter of making folks aware of the opportunities and being able to utilize the technology. And that's why I believe that intergenerational development is key because the
Mm.
youngins are really big on the technology, and then the more mature folks have the experience to be able to guide them. So it's a win-win for everybody in the space in order for us to move forward cooperatively and progressively.
That's exactly right. And we have young people that are ready. These young ladies, we have they for the full spectrum. Some of them major in specializing in ag business, plant science, environmental science, uh, animal science, and nutrition. And so we have a range of different interests when it comes to agriculture. And so there's old saying, there is no culture without agriculture. And so you have to, I just tip my head off to the excitement that I'm seeing with so many women uh, and getting involved in agriculture and just the food space in general. You know, if you look at Atlanta, some of the most successful black-owned restaurants are run by women. You know, and the catering scene in Atlanta is dominated by women. Uh, and so women, and rightfully so, women nurture their children. They're concerned about what they put in their body and in their children's body, and it's a perfect space for them.
Can you just speak a little bit how you improved your health through gardening and eating fresh fruits and vegetables?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of physical activity involved in gardening. There's one study that says that if a person smokes and drink alcohol and have terrible eating habits, fast food, eat fast food every day, but if that person exercises, their chances of longevity in terms of living is much greater than a person that does none of those things, but they don't exercise. So there is a physical rewarding aspect of farming, you know, and I do it in a very physical way. You know, I use a shovel, I use a hoe, I use a mattocks. You know, I sweat and still enjoy that aspect of being involved in farming. But then the other thing that you can do all the exercise you want, but eventually, if you don't change your eating habits and you're not trying to improve eating clean and eating healthy food, um, that eventually you have to have that balance. You know, every doctor, every commercial that you look at regarding prescription drugs, anything, they always say diet and exercise is important. So what we eat is very important, and people are concerned about their food and where it comes from and how it's grown. I am, and so feel very comfortable eating the food I grow. There's a different in taste. There's a different in texture. There's a different in just the way the food makes you feel after you consume it when you eat something that you grow yourself in your yard. And I would tell anybody, no matter where you live at, even if you just grow some food in a pot on your porch, you will notice a difference in the way it tastes when you grow it yourself. It looks different. Some people don't even recognize spinach that's grown in a garden compared to the way they look at spinach that's grown in that you get out of Kroger or Publix. And so some of the plants just look different when you see them grow naturally. They look more fibrous. The texture is different. The length of time it takes to cook is different. And so there's just a huge difference when you grow your own food.
Yeah, I know you're big on how the food is grown and what pesticides are used and how that impacts the flavor and the quality, and how the industry is really dominated by a few companies, and it really they even have pretty much impacted the seeds, and the seeds have impacted the yields and the growth and how things are developed. So one of the other things that I really like about or have discovered is that in incorporating the younger generation into the farm, it provides them with physical activity, nutritional benefit, but it gives them a sense of calm and being as opposed to sitting around all day and having a sedentary lifestyle and playing games. So you can take and translate some of that gamesmanship into the technology to be utilized to
Yeah.
modernize the farm and trying to connect the older farmers with the younger farmers to be able to get that next generation moving in the right direction. And I really am excited about the intergenerational mixed use development plan that we're working on because there's something for everybody and it gives everybody an opportunity to be able to contribute and support one another.
Yeah, and think about it that, you know, we live, all we know technically is intergenerational. You know, if you think about it, most of us uh, grew up, we had older brothers and sisters. We had an older uncle, great uncles, grandparents, you know, parents. When you think about the whole family structure, you know, it's an intergenerational structure when you see a beautiful family. You know, if you have the opportunity to have parents and grandparents or great grandparents, and the way we honor and live together, um, uh, that's a healthy environment for a child to, or any human being at whatever age, to be able to experience. We see that in our organization, right? In the Realtors organization, you know, we have a member that we just lost last year. He was 104 when he passed. You know what I mean?
Yes,
And
sir.
we still have members, a part of our organization, the Realtors Empire Board. They're in their 90s. We got people in their 30s, and we want to continue to see that. But still, in you are working trying to bring younger people in, college students, high school students, to be a part of this business and this whole industry that we're doing. So intergenerational connectivity is critical.
And I think doing it with intentionality is what my goal is to be able to produce these developments And again, it's one of the big things is that we have to overcome the shame of slavery and that negative
Mm.
connotation surrounding folks being in the country. One of the things that I really enjoyed hearing Miss Sherrod talking about was all she could think about when she was growing up was how she was going to get off the farm, and she had no
Yeah.
intentions on being on the farm because every time folks would come back, they came back driving these big pretty cars, and so she said she went up to the city and she didn't realize they was renting them cars and didn't own nothing. And she couldn't wait to get back to the farm where she had a better quality of life. And I think that's what our whole goal is with our Outside the Barn series is that we are not going to close the wealth gap. It'll take 500 years. But we can
Mm.
put a dent in it and have an improved quality of life with intentional intergenerational development because right now you're a broker. We got intergenerational now just for affordability. You got 2 and 3 generations applying for a home loan so they can get a decent place to stay in a decent
Mm.
community. But it's taking those 2 or 3 different incomes, including retirement and Social Security, to be able to qualify.
That's right.
So with this, I think it gives us the opportunity to do it on a level that's scalable and intentional for long term success, but also to be able to put it into a cooperative land trust model. So I'm working with a couple of people, you in particular, here in Atlanta, to bring that vision to reality. And I think I'm extremely excited about the potential of being able to do it and take the footprint across the country. As you know, you've been here your whole life. You know, everything starts and stops with Atlanta. And so that
Yeah,
this
Atlanta's one of those kind of towns. Thad, but one of the things that I'm glad you're doing is recording this. I'm glad to see you doing your podcast. I think what you're doing is very historic. And if you could continue to document what you're doing, continue to have the programs that you're having, I guarantee you 5, 10, 15, 20, 100 years from now, your name is going to be called as a transformative person in terms of elevating generations of especially young black people and bringing us back to our roots, bringing us back to where we started and helping us to realize that our parents had so much wisdom and our parents and grandparents had so much wisdom when they focus on land, getting their name on a deed and understand the value of land, how to use God's natural resources for life and to live off of it. And, you know, I never would have dreamed an appraiser would be an individual that would be leading that charge. I look more for the real estate brokers to
Well,
be doing this work.
we're all interconnected, but
That's
I
true.
am the embodiment of lived experience, which has evolved into leadership, which I am trying to conform into legacy. So that
Mm,
is the whole goal because I don't believe that you can be successful without successors. And so you and I have had this conversation on how to move our beloved organizations forward, but they're so entrenched in history and you got to be able to move forward. Just because we moving forward, we're not leaving you behind or disrespecting you. But we're at a nexus now, and you have to make room at the table. And so, what the issue is for us here in appraising, what our goal is, everybody is now starting to have a seat at the appraisal table. Well,
that's good.
that fourth seat or that seat, I'm not interested in that seat. I'm interested in making a whole new table. So
Oh,
that's what
wow.
our goal, our mission is. And so we are setting the table, making it, and it's not. I can't even tell you how much your words mean to me because the opposition that I get from us is more hurtful than anything because I don't have no expectations from other folks. But when it comes for
Mm,
us, that is what hurts. But again, it's not for everybody. And you mentioned Mr. Roby, and one of the things that he I don't think he ever knew my name. He always called me young fella. So in my conversation, he would be like, "Young fella, I know you're fighting a good fight. I know they." He said, "I just need you to do one thing for me." He said, "I know this thing ain't never gonna happen fast enough for you, but when people come around, you got to give them some grace and leave the door open." So he
Mm,
said, "I know you're way out ahead of the crowd right now, but they gonna come back, and when they come, you can't give them your tail to kiss. You got to be gracious and humble. I believe that's why
wow.
God trusted you with this assignment." So I really took that to heart and appreciated it, because back when I used to get frustrated, he used to just tell me like, "Man, you don't even get to get tired until you get 70." He said, "So you got
Wow.
a long way to go." And so what could I say? Because he was always there, always available, and always doing his thing and very well respected. And you know how we always doted over him.
Oh man, and I like to tell this story. When I joined Apollo in 1995, you got to remember Roby had to be in his 70s, and
Mm-hmm.
he was chair of the membership committee at the Empire Board, and he paid a visit to our office sales meeting on Saturday morning to encourage the agents in the office to join the Empire Board of Realtors. And although I was going to join anyway, I probably already had joined, but I always got to give Roby. Roby, I always kind of tell this story so Roby could take credit for, me being responsible for joining the Empire. But I always admired this guy was probably in his early 70s, working hard, trying to recruit people for EBR because he believed in it. And that's just the type of person he was. He was a realtist until the day he transitioned, a national treasure, both within the Empire Board of Realtors and also in his beloved fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha. And so they loved him and cherished just as much as EBR did, or
And he was
NARAD
also
did
a
as well.
Buffalo soldier. And he was also a
Say
Buffalo
that again.
soldier. So he was
Oh
also a
yeah,
Buffalo
Buffalo
soldier.
Soldier. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I attended his 100th birthday party, which was held at one of his favorite restaurants at Pascal's in 2020. That party was the same day that while we were there, we got news that Kobe Bryant had passed away in an airplane crash, and we were waiting for Roby to show up. Roby drove himself to his 120th birthday party and come walking
Yeah.
through the door at 100.
Yeah. Well, I know he used to scare me to death driving, but he didn't want to give up those keys. That,
No, he
that,
did.
that, that was that was a rough one right there.
Yeah, he was a man's man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Well, Jeffrey,
all
I know
man.
you're trying to get. I know you're trying to get home, and you got caught in traffic and didn't make it, so
I
we had to
did.
do the podcast on the fly. I appreciate you taking out this time. Again, I look forward to us doing our Outside the Barn series at Providence Missionary Baptist Church Community Garden on June the 14th from 10 to 4 p.m. We're going to serve lunch. We're going to
Nine,
pick.
nine, 9 o'clock, right? You starting at 9 with yoga, right?
I thought we were starting at 10.
Oh, is it
You
10
said
o'clock?
10.
Okay, 10 o'clock.
Yeah, you said 10 because of the dew on the grass at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. That's right. That's right. 10 o'clock.
We
10.
moved it.
Yeah, we
So
start with the
10,
yoga.
we wanted to burn the dew off the grass before folks
That's right.
got all wet and it got too hot. And then after
That's right.
after
That's true.
yoga, we're gonna pick some vegetables out of the garden. Then we're gonna have lunch, and then you're gonna start a session on regenerative farming, and then we're gonna finish up
Yes,
with a session on reconsideration of value and how to appeal your property taxes.
that's
So
right.
looking forward to it, and then looking forward to our development project. And so, safe travels to you, and I will see you on Saturday. Well, not this Saturday, next Saturday.
The next Saturday. Okay. All right. Thank you so
Saturday.
much for having me.
Well,
Thank you
that
so
will be
much for
this
having me.
Saturday by the time we put the podcast out. And thank you for your time, Jeffrey. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Anytime.